Joseph James DeAngelo, known as the Golden State Killer, was a former police officer who committed a series of violent crimes across California during the 1970s and 1980s. His case went unsolved for decades until modern forensic techniques helped bring him to justice. Born on November 8, 1946, in Bath, New York, DeAngelo grew up in a troubled household, and his early life was marked by a series of hardships, including reports of his parents' strict and sometimes abusive behavior. He attended Sacramento State University, where he earned a degree in criminal justice. DeAngelo served as a police officer in Exeter, California, 1973 to 1976, and later in Auburn, California, 1976 to 1979. During his tenure as a police officer, he was involved in various incidents, including stealing a hammer and a can of dog repellent, which led to his dismissal from the force in 1979. The earliest crimes attributed to him began in 1976, when he committed a series of burglaries and sexual assaults in Sacramento and surrounding areas. Initially, his crimes were classified as rapes. By 1978, his crimes escalated to murder, and he began killing his victims, often couples, after binding them and sexually assaulting the women. His murder spree included brutal attacks on individuals in Sacramento, Santa Barbara, Ventura, and other cities across California. Victims. Between 1976 and 1986, DeAngelo killed at least 13 people and raped over 50 women.
Look at her face.
His most infamous attacks were committed between 1979 and 1981. 1978, the Majori couple, Brian and Katie, were killed while walking their dog. 1979, the Offerman and Manning murders took place in Goleta, California. 1980, the Smith couple in Ventura and other victims followed. 1981, a series of murders, including Sherry Domingo and Gregory Sanchez in Goleta. His final known crime was the 1986 murder of Janelle Cruz in Irvine, California. The Golden State Killer was meticulous in his approach. He often targeted couples, tied them up, raped the women, and then killed them. He was known for stalking his victims for days before attacking, and his method of entry into homes usually involved prying open windows or doors while his victims slept. He would often taunt police and survivors, leaving eerie messages or making phone calls to them. His ability to evade capture for so long became one of the most frustrating aspects of the case for law enforcement. The case went cold in the mid-1980s as the Golden State Killer vanished, and his crimes remained unsolved. During the following decades, numerous attempts were made to identify him, but no substantial leads emerged. In 2018, the case was revived thanks to a new forensic technique called genetic genealogy. Investigators uploaded DNA from crime scenes into publicly available genealogy databases, where they found a match to DeAngelo through distant relatives. DeAngelo's arrest occurred in April 2018 when investigators secretly obtained DNA from a tissue he had discarded, which confirmed his identity as the Golden State Killer. Trial and conviction. In 2020, DeAngelo pleaded guilty to 13 counts of first-degree murder and multiple counts of sexual assault. In return for his guilty plea, he avoided the death penalty. DeAngelo was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in August 2020. Victims and their families had a chance to confront him in court, and DeAngelo expressed remorse, although his apology was seen as insufficient by many. Cold case resolution. Capture marked the first time that genetic genealogy was used to identify a suspect in a criminal case, revolutionizing modern forensic investigations. Many survivors and families of victims were able to speak out at DeAngelo's sentencing, sharing their pain and experiences. The case was a tragic reminder of the toll such crimes take on individuals and families. DeAngelo's case has left a profound impact on criminal justice and how authorities approach cold cases, especially with the growing use of genetic genealogy and DNA databases to track down offenders long after their crimes. As of now, Joseph James DeAngelo, the Golden State Killer, is still alive and serving a life sentence in prison. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on August 21, 2020, after pleading guilty to 13 counts of first-degree murder and several counts of sexual assault. DeAngelo is incarcerated at the California State Prison in Corcoran, California. He is not facing the death penalty due to a plea deal that removed it from consideration, and his health has been a subject of attention, with reports stating that he is frail and in poor health. There have been no reports of his death as of the latest updates. He is expected to spend the remainder of his life in prison without the chance of release. Thank you for exploring the dark corridors of crime with us here at the Murder Maze. Remember, the real monsters often walk among us. Stay safe, stay aware, and join us next time for another chilling story.